Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. This is your friend Ursi, and this is the third part in a series that I'm really looking at the 22 major arcana of the Tarot. So, the 22 major secrets, the mysteries held within this book of pictures, this picture book of wisdom. Look at these cards. So behind me, what you're seeing is the Rider-Waite deck. There are many tarot card decks, but this one is foundational. And it's typically one used if you want to begin learning about the deeper meaning of this ancient symbolic picture book. Okay. The fascinating thing, as I've shared in the earlier two videos, is that listening to Gaia TV, Dr. Theresa Bullard talk about this idea of the potential idea of multidimensionality and how these 22 major arcana could be these windows into this idea of knowing what we truly are as superconscious, multidimensional, and galactic beings. That's the most amazing thing for me. It's looking at, wow, what's been around for thousands of years, can we revisit it and see if there's another layer to experience, another doorway, another potential understanding as we have evolved and shifted our consciousness? Okay, so just taking a peek at my notes, yes, this recognition of multidimensionality, but there's also this idea of the 22 as pathways that connect to the tree of life, that relates to the Kabbalah as a kind of an organizing system for understanding our whole experience of life and not just this one single life as we know it in today in the third dimension being human. So let me go ahead and start a little bit of a slide reminder. For me, being a visual learner, I kind of like to do slides just so I can say, okay, now what was I thinking about and what was it that's so exciting? So here's Theresa Bullard, yes, modern mystery school teacher. And if you enjoy Gaia TV or if that's new for you, go ahead and check out her teachings on the tarot. All right. And I'm keeping this slide in just to pause and say the potential for understanding who and what we are in this new age of light. This idea that, yes, here are sacred geometries, and here is sound healing, and here is numerology and astrology and galactic wisdom. How do we hang it all together to inform what we are as beings? So there's a soul level, there's a true self, higher self level, and then there's this whole other idea of a unified consciousness, and that we're all trying to reach our way back home on this incredible human and soul's journey. Okay, so I shared this idea that if you're a beginner like me, um, Theresa Bullard says, start with what's called the Universal Weight Tarot deck. So it's the one she likes to use because the symbols carry much more of that, powerful meaning. In fact, there's a little pocket tarot deck for the Universal Weight system. So I went ahead and I created this board based on what Theresa shared on Gaia TV. And at the very top of this board is the Fool, which carries the number 0. So yes, there's 22 major arcana. The Fool starts with 0 and it goes around the wheel to 21. Okay, so each of these has a particular meaning. And so this third chapter or third portion of the series is to bring us back to that tree of life and the Kabbalah. This idea that, yes, there's these pathways between the 10 Sephirot. All right. And we know, yes, there's an 11th unconscious one. but how to move between these pathways. You can see basically at the very top here is the Fool. So between one, Kether, and Chokmah, so the first and the second Sephiroth, is where the Fool's journey begins. What is the major arcana? So there's the minor, the little secrets, and then the major arcana, the big secrets. So, according to this little blurb, it's really looking at how to unveil the soul's karmic purpose. So, we know that it's more than just this lifetime, right? It's more than just the many lifetimes on Earth, right? And so, when we start looking at then the galactic and adding those experiences and lifetimes off planet within this solar system, within this universe, and then beyond, how do these 22 pathways inform more of our ultimate beingness and a soul's purpose? So we look at these to see what can you share with us. There is, I found online, labyrinthos.co. So here we see again the tarot and the tree of life put together. So yes, Rider Waite Smith. This site actually also brings in the layer of the Thoth or the Toth counterparts. Again, the ancient origins. So, as many of you may know, Thoth or Toth is connected to the early ancient Egyptian lineage. So, when you see that, some say that the Thoth is connected to Hermes Trismegistus, who's also connected to Mercury or Hermes. So, this idea of the god of commerce or the god of communication, how is this little god or this planet, Mercury, connected to this tree of life and the tarot? Interesting, right? So that's just an open ended question. But when you peel back the origins of Tarot, it's not like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Certainly, yes, the Rider Waite deck was created within the last 100 years, but its origins of Tarot and the first 22 major arcana before the other cards were added later as a playing deck, right? So we're really trying to track and go into what are these major secrets talking about. Here's another image I found in Google to look at adding the elements of fire, water, air, and earth, bringing, yes, this idea of in the tarot, fire equals the wands, water are the cups, air element is swords, and earth is the coins. So, without getting into the details, it's this idea of, oh, look, we're bringing in the elements with this tree of life, as a structure for understanding a soul's journey. I found this wonderful tarot guidebook. I'm going to try and put in the description how you can track a link and basically download this incredibly informative free tarot guidebook if you're interested. But I just pulled this guidebooks. What are the elements? So here's a page from that free guidebook that brings in now, here's the zodiacal signs. Let's start with water, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. The tarot court of the cups. There's a direction to water, which is west, and a season, which is autumn. So I love showing you these glyphs for what is the alchemical, symbol or glyph for water, earth, air, and fire. We're going to be adding these elements into the tarot deck. Before we do that, too, we're still on this tree of life, this idea of now adding in the chakras, the 7 gates on the Kabbalah, and the 7 chakras of our human body. So it's this idea that, yes, the first chakra, the root, is connected here to the 10th Sephiroth. And then we go all the way up to the 7th and the crown at the top of the tree. Here's where we're going to start looking at color symbolism as well. So again, with a beginner's mind, how do we read tarot cards from a color perspective. Color is not just paint, but it's more about what energy is it carrying, what frequency. So red, we could say, is yes, passion, danger, strength, vitality, and love. Each color has a high side vibration and a shadow. So orange, joy, happiness, creativity, and strength. It's not showing us any shadow for orange. Sometimes orange can have a murkiness to it, right? A little too muddy orange. Yellow, confidence, happiness, intellect, and optimism. Green, nature, fertility, growth, harmony, and hope. What is blue, purple, black, white, gray, and brown? So when you start really looking into the major arcana and saying, what are the colors telling me? We can pause and just check out this particular page and go, we'll start with the Fool. Let's say there's a lot of yellow in the Fool's card, the number 0, where we begin the journey, right? So lots of yellow, confidence, happiness, intellect, and optimism again. Also, in addition, we'll be looking at numbers. How do numbers inform another layer of meaning as we're looking at the major arcana? 0 representing eternity, the all that is, all and nothingness together, the void. Number 1 are beginnings. We start with 1 and we move forward on the timeline. 2 would offer balance. 3, the divine trinity, creativity. Think about it, the male and female birthing the divine child. 3. Number 4 represents foundations, the 4 pillars, how to hold up a structure. 4. And then 5 represents change. It's this move away from the stability and opening up what else is possible. 5 is the number of change. Whereas 6, we're back to an even number again, is harmony. And 7, spirituality. 8, manifestation. And 9, wisdom. So in tarot, and this is just a cursory look at numerology as we start talking about the major arcana. Here is a really cool image that I just was so excited to see, because as above, so below. So we have the sun and the moon. Being in the third dimension, it is about duality. So yes, the tree of life, all that grows, of course it would have an equal and opposite underneath it, a tree of death. And don't worry about that word death. It's more about holding the light of the mirror image, the equal and opposite. Life, death. Death is the transformative or the silent. So this woman, Carrie Love, says the tree of death represents the reverse side of the tree of life's 10 sephira and their divine emanations. These counter forces represent our shadow self, unity and duality in its totality. Don't you love that idea? Totality. So above, we see next to the tree of life is a snake with the cross. This idea that's reminding me of course, of the tree of life, the cross of Christ with the snake, beckoning the idea of the Garden of Eden. And beneath it, the equal and opposite is one of the major arcana, the hanged man. And some say when you do some reading, it might be better called the hanging man, the man who hangs upside down to get a different perspective. So we can read it not just as, oh, what did he do wrong? Is he a criminal? Or the poor victim. Instead, we can say, my God, what perspective does he have by hanging upside down? And then, I love these little paintings that I find on Google too. Look at this. Someone took as an artist the tree of life, and then they started bringing in, yes, the geometries and glyphs and crystalline forms. This made me feel like, yes, Let's peel this onion to find out what's really in the center of the center of the center of our beingness. Look, I could look at this for a long time. All right. So I wanted to show you the path of the Fool. See in the yellow above, from again, the first Sephiroth into the second, from the crown to Chokmah, which is wisdom. So the beginning. And speaking of beginnings, I was thinking as I was waking up this morning, really, again, what's it all about? There's got to be something more to this instead of birth, death, this planet, that planet. There is something more that wants to be revealed. And part of this is this idea of the return home. Lisa Royal Holt, who is a galactic historian and channels her future self, I believe her future Palladian self, bringing us The Prism of Lyra as the book, and also The Golden Lake. The whole emphasis is no matter where you are in the universe, human or other, is this idea of a return home. Home, let's say the great central sun, you know, basically returning to source, to the beginning of all that is. And if we are a fractal of all that is, I was getting a feeling this morning that it's like, wow, we too can become like source and become our own central suns to then birth other, I don't know, galaxies, universes. It's this idea of the multiplier effect. At least that's what came up for me. Anyway, it's fun to see this idea that we're not just looking at tarot, but is it a pathway? Are these 22 pathways, as Theresa Bullard suggests, different experiences, parallel lives, not just on this planet, but others and other stars, for us to inform ourselves, to get ready to embrace ourselves as a great central sun? So, if you join me for the next session, session 4, that's where I'm going to start really looking and going deeper into each of the cards. We'll start with the Fool. We'll look at the Hebrew flame letter, Aleph, and also what else this card carries. And I'm just going to show you, do you see that air element? That is a upward facing or pointing triangle with a line through it. So you're going to start learning the symbols of the alchemy of the cards. Let me stop sharing. Thank you for joining me. It is, I don't know, the drums are beating before this lion's gate, but there is something about our awareness of who we are, singularly, collectively, but this idea of where duality and unity meet for totality. That's probably a good place to stop and pause, where duality and unity meet to create totality. Thank you, everybody, and hope to see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye for now.